Today's episode is all about helping you speak up effectively at work. I'm going to teach you the 3 pillars that help you speak effectively, and I'm going to share the number one thing that trips people up across these 3 pillars so that you know what you need to do to develop that confident, powerful voice that helps you make a real impact in the room. So the 3 pillars that help you speak up effectively are expertise, communication skill, and confidence. So starting with expertise, when you know your stuff and you feel like a true expert, it's easier to speak up. That familiarity really helps you feel comfortable expressing your ideas and making your voice heard. The second pillar, communication skill, is just your ability to take the thoughts that are in your head and translate them out loud into words that you say that other people can understand. So I think about this as just your ability to articulate what you're thinking. The third pillar is confidence. Confidence means that even if you're in a room with senior leaders or in a meeting that intimidates you, or you're feeling the heat and the pressure because someone asked you a hard question, you're still able to communicate and share your thoughts in a way that feels powerful and self-assured. Now, the ideal is to be strong across all of these pillars. When you're a subject matter expert and you're great at communicating your ideas and you're feeling really, really confident, you're firing on all cylinders. And that's when you are going to have a really undeniably powerful voice in the room. Now, here's the reason it can sometimes feel really difficult to get to that outcome. It's because of an incorrect assumption that people often make about these 3 pillars. People assume that the first 2 pillars add up to the third. They assume that if they have subject matter expertise and great communication skills, then they will feel confident. And this is a pretty intuitive assumption, right? Like if I know my stuff and I know how to express things clearly, that should solve my problem in the room. That should help me go into the room feeling confident, and that should help me speak up and make my voice heard. But that's not actually how these 3 pillars relate to each other. And in the rest of today's episode, I'm going to explain to you the true relationship between these 3 pillars so that you know what to do to develop that confident voice that helps you make a bigger impact in the room. If you're new here, by the way, welcome. I'm Jessica Guzik. I'm a prior McKinsey consultant and a current New York Times featured podcast host and coach for professional women, and I help women build real confidence and find their voice in the workplace so that they can maximize the impact that they are having as leaders. Now, before I get deeper into the teachings, I have a time-sensitive and exciting announcement, which is that enrollment for my signature program, the Art of Speaking Up Academy, is officially open for the next week. The Art of Speaking Up Academy is for you if you want to be speaking up more often and more confidently at work. This program is more than just your typical professional training on how to communicate effectively. This is a program for women who want to do the deeper internal work on building confidence. Speaking up is not really about knowing the right words to say. It's about feeling strong and capable inside so that those big, intimidating rooms don't get in the way of you speaking up. Inside the Art of Speaking Up Academy, you'll be part of a small, intimate cohort of women, and I'm going to guide you in building that inner confidence so that you have the courage to make your voice and your perspective heard, even in rooms that used to intimidate you. There has never been a better time to strengthen your voice as a leader. Companies are cutting back and shifting priorities, and the people who are going to thrive during this transitional time are the people who are getting visible, speaking up, and helping shape the direction of their organization. Enroll now by clicking the link in the show notes or going to jessguzikcoaching.com/academy. And check out episode 409 for a deep dive that teaches you more about this program. Now I want to get back into those 3 pillars. So I taught you the 3 pillars that help you speak up effectively: expertise, communication skills, and confidence. The thing that can get so tricky about these is that it's very intuitive and natural to assume if I have the first 2 pillars, subject matter expertise and communication skills, then the third pillar, confidence, should follow, and I should be able to speak up and express myself confidently in the room. And when you believe that expertise and communication skills will result in confidence, you invest very heavily in those 2 pillars. So you try to grow your expertise by prepping for a meeting and making sure you're familiar with the subject matter. Or maybe you're giving a presentation and you're trying to think of every possible question you can get asked. In those situations, the thought process is if I know everything and I have every piece of information, that will help me feel confident and speak with confidence. And the same is true for communication skills. A lot of times you'll find yourself spending time in your head trying to figure out how to say the words just right, or you'll overthink the exact way that you should express your idea. And the thought process there is if I can just get the communication right, if I can just get the words right and have that excellent communication skill, then I'm going to be able to feel confident. So you pursue subject matter expertise and you pursue communication skills in the hopes that these things will result in confidence, but usually they don't. Because when you're sitting in that meeting and your boss is there and leaders are there and the pressure is on, it doesn't matter how much expertise you try to gather before the meeting or how much you try to perfectly plan your words or perfectly articulate yourself. That is not going to be enough to help you feel confident in the moment. And I'm sure you've experienced this, and it can be really frustrating because it can feel like you're doing all the right things. You're trying to be prepared for the meeting, and you're trying to find ways to articulate yourself effectively, but somehow that's not enough. And somehow when you're in the moment and the pressure is on, you don't feel confident and you struggle to speak up and express yourself. Now, here's where things get interesting and where things get more optimistic and exciting. The reason that you struggle to speak up isn't because you lack the ability and you're missing something. It's just because you have the equation reversed. In your mind, you're thinking expertise plus communication skills equals confidence. But the real way that it actually works is confidence equals expertise plus communication skills. In other words, it isn't expertise and communication skills that helps you feel confident. It's confidence that helps you access your expertise and your communication skills. Confidence acts like a gatekeeper. So I want you to literally imagine a gate that is opening and closing. When your confidence is high, it's as if the gate to access your expertise and access your innate communication skills is wide open. And when your confidence is low, it's the opposite. It's as if the gate to access those things is blocked and you're not able to connect with your expertise and connect with your natural ability to communicate effectively. A really great way to understand this is through an example. I really want you to imagine walking into a meeting. It's a cross-functional meeting. There's going to be lots of discussion. And I want you to think about what it would be like to walk into that meeting after leaving a one-on-one with your boss where you were told in your performance review that your performance is excellent, you're getting a big promotion and a raise, and the company is super happy with your performance, and everyone's been really impressed by the work that you've been doing. So I want you to imagine you have this amazing performance review with your boss, and you leave on a high. You're feeling so strong and so confident. and then you go into this cross-functional meeting. When you are feeling that confidence, no matter what the topic of that cross-functional meeting is, you will feel like an expert. You will sit in that room and feel like, okay, I for sure have something to share. I can participate in this conversation. And it will also be easier for you to speak. Your communication skill will be stronger because when you feel amazing about yourself, it's easy to articulate yourself and it's easy to explain your ideas. So when your confidence is high, your expertise and your communication skills get better. And the opposite is true as well. So let's look at the opposite side of the coin. Imagine that your confidence took a huge hit. Maybe you had a one-on-one with your manager and they told you that they weren't happy with your performance and they were feeling frustrated with you and you need to step up your game. And then you walk into that same cross-functional meeting. Now, you can walk into that meeting with the exact same expertise and the exact same communication skill that you had in the positive scenario. But if your confidence has taken a hit, you're not going to be able to access that expertise or access those communication skills. It's going to be impossible for you to join in the conversation and speak up freely because the confidence is blocking your ability to access those first two pillars. And in these scenarios, the only thing that's changed is your confidence. Your communication skills are the same. Your expertise is the same. It's just that when your confidence ebbs and flows, your ability to access the communication skills and access the expertise ebbs and flows along with your confidence. This is why it doesn't work when you tell yourself, I'm going to just work on my expertise and my communication skills, and that will help me feel confident. That doesn't work because the confidence is the gatekeeper. The confidence is the thing that helps you access the other two pillars. So when you're focused on expertise and communication skill, you're doing it backwards, essentially. And you're doing it in a way where it's very unlikely to help you get significantly better at speaking up. But when you flip it around and you work on growing your confidence, then you are able to access the expertise and access the communication skills. And one thing that I want to point out to you, after now having coached over 200 women in my coaching practice, is that you already have expertise. So many of my clients, when they first start working with me, put in so much effort to try to grow their expertise. They prep a ton for meetings. They map out possible questions that could get asked. They try to do extra outside research to make sure that they have all the information and know everything. And the irony is, like, when I work with these women, I see it with my own two eyes. They are deep experts. They are not people who are lacking in expertise. So it's almost like you're thinking that you don't have expertise and that you have to go out and get more of it so you can feel confident, but you're already an expert in what you do. And the same is true for communication skills. You might have this thought that you're not good at communicating, but the truth is we all innately can communicate well when we feel confident. I really want you to think about times in life when you're sitting with your friends or you're in a setting where you just feel really comfortable. In those settings, you never think to yourself, how am I going to say this? I don't know how to express myself. No, you just speak because when you feel at ease and confident and comfortable, that innate communication ability just flows. It just comes naturally. So what I find so interesting about this is not only is it so common to get the equation backwards and work on the expertise and communication skills when those aren't the thing that creates the confidence, but even more interesting is that you already have expertise. You already have communication skills. You don't need to put so much effort into growing those things. The effort should go towards building your confidence so that that gate can be wide open when you walk into the meeting and so that you can access and tap into the expertise and communication skills that you already have. Now, this leads to a natural question of, okay, it sounds like the starting point is that I have to grow my confidence, so how do I do that? And that's what I want to talk about next. So first, when it comes to building confidence, it's really important to be aware that as humans, we sometimes have a tendency to want to avoid that deeper work of building confidence. Confidence comes from facing your fears and insecurities and making peace with them. And that can feel really scary and intimidating. A lot of times when you have fears or insecurities, you want to hide them or avoid them or shove them away. And this can lead you to fixate a lot on those first two pillars that I mentioned, expertise and communication skills, because studying up for a meeting or learning a communication framework is emotionally super comfortable. You don't really have to confront anything hard or scary. But with building confidence, you have to look at the parts of yourself that are holding you back. And usually those parts of yourself are things that you feel insecure about or embarrassed about. Now, those things can fall into all sorts of different categories. So for some people, they're embarrassed about the way that they speak. Maybe they have an accent. Maybe their cheeks turn red when they speak. For other people, they're insecure about their intellect and how smart they are. They feel like other people are smarter than them, or maybe they're going to sound stupid and people are going to realize that they're not really qualified for their job. For other people, they're insecure about being introverted and they feel like they're not as charismatic as other people. Or for some people, they're insecure about a past role they were in where things didn't go well, or a past project where they feel like they failed. We all have different types of baggage, and most ambitious, high-achieving professional women have baggage in a few different areas, and they really feel like they're the only ones, and like this is some big, shameful secret that means something is wrong with them, and they don't really deserve the job that they have. But I can tell you, after working in a very close and private, intimate capacity with over 200 professional women, everybody has this baggage, and success and confidence and finding your voice in the room doesn't come from not having the baggage and eliminating the things about you that you feel like make you different or imperfect or quote unquote flawed. It comes from learning to accept yourself and feel proud of yourself and strong about the person who you are, even though you are imperfect. It's so easy to think that confidence comes from being flawless and not having any of these quote unquote issues. But something that I always tell my clients is confident people don't care. They have all sorts of flaws and imperfections and issues. The difference is, in their minds, they don't experience those as these big, negative, shameful things. They still think really highly of themselves. And that's a point that anyone can get to as long as you're willing to slow down and do the work of confronting some of those fears and insecurities and learning to make peace with them. This is a big part of what I do when I'm working with my clients inside my program. And so often they tell me that it feels like therapy. And they feel really surprised because they joined this program to help them with speaking up. And they're doing this deeper work to make peace with these other parts of themselves. But that deeper work is the foundation of speaking up. When you feel at peace with yourself and you feel good and comfortable with the imperfect, messy human that you are, you start moving through the world with genuine confidence. And when you move through the world with genuine confidence, you are able to access your expertise and access your communication skills, and it is so much easier to speak up. You don't have to over-prepare and try to be such an expert. You don't have to try to be so good at communication skills, because that underlying confidence fuels you to communicate effectively and fuels you to access and express the expertise that you already have. So you speak up effectively, but it happens naturally. It happens on its own without you even trying. And you're able to make a bigger impact in the room because you're not holding yourself back. And that bigger impact that you make gets noticed by people around you, and your reputation grows, and you get more credit for the expertise and leadership that you bring to the table. And you feel really proud of yourself. You feel proud of yourself not just because you're speaking up and being a great role model for people around you, but because you had the courage to do the inner work to get yourself there. That journey that you go on to build the confidence gives you a sense of pride. It makes you feel strong and unstoppable because you know that you are not afraid to face the things that are hard and work through them so that you can rise from the ashes of those things like a phoenix and emerge stronger than you would have been without having done that work. And sometimes we're scared to do this deeper inner work to build confidence because we feel like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to look at my insecurities, like that's going to take me to this deep, dark place. But the truth is, when we don't do the work to look at those insecurities, we are in a deep, dark place. Our confidence is totally weighed down. We don't feel good about ourselves. So it's actually by confronting those things and working through them that we get out of a deep, dark place and start feeling stronger and freer and lighter. If you are ready to do that inner work to build confidence, this is the work that you'll do inside the Art of Speaking Up Academy. When you build this confidence, you're going to be able to speak up more freely, which is going to help you grow your impact and get credit for all of the expertise and leadership that you bring to the table. In addition to the work that you do to build your confidence, I'm also going to teach you the foundations of executive presence and executive communication. Because as you build the confidence, you're going to be speaking up more. And every time you speak up, it's an opportunity to impress people around you. I am going to teach you the tools that you need to speak in a way that is polished and persuasive and effective so that every time you speak, you are solidifying your reputation as a highly capable leader. Enrollment is open for the next week, and you can enroll by going to jessguzikcoaching.com/academy. To get a deep dive on this program and learn more about what it's like inside, make sure to check out episode 409. Before I sign off, I want to share some quick testimonials and feedback that I got from past clients of mine who have participated in the program. My client Colette said, "This program exceeded my expectations. It helped me tremendously in becoming more confident in myself." My client Christine said, "I find it easier to show up in a bigger way and people around me are noticing. I've been promoted since starting the program and I know that the work I did in the program has led me to that promotion." My client Nicole said, "The program exceeded my expectations. There are so many things we learned, particularly the mindset work, that I couldn't get from just an hour-long podcast." And my client Jenny said, "This program gave me the most inspiring, psychologically grounded, and empowering approach I've ever experienced when it comes to speaking up." If you are ready to immerse yourself in a process that is going to show you just how capable you are, click the link in the show notes to get the process started. If you have any questions about the program, feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to put my email address in the show notes. And make sure to check out episode 409 if you want to learn even more about the program. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.